everyone. Since patch 4, 10v10 Hellgates have been more popular, so today we're going to roll through some of the most common and most effective weapons and combos of each role. We'll start off with the Bruiser and Melee DPS. You're going to see a lot of Vital Furies in 10v10 Hellgates. There's a reason why. They're easily able to just clap by themselves, set up their own plays. You're going to play Throwing Daggers on your W, Q2 on your Q, usually with either Royal Armor or a leather jacket like the Alien jacket. And honestly, you're not going to see, or you're going to see more than one bridled. Usually going to see 2 bridles with Execute Bloodletter, or even at the very least you'll see a bridled Great Axe Bloodletter, something like that. They're just the most effective comp. Everything else is just second to the Bridal Furies at this point, and it's very hard to keep them in control when you're a tank. They just have a lot of mobility, penetration, solo clapping potential. So right now, Bridal Furies are definitely the king of the melee DPS role, with everything else being second. Next up is a RDPS. The Frost tree is definitely going to be your king of the backline here. The maps right now, with the way that they're designed, there's a lot of random rocks and pillars. With that being the case, there's a lot of issues with line of sighting with with crossbows and bows, as well as fires. Frost is the only cloppy when you play Q3 that is able to just chunk massive amount of AoE damage over these random objects like the pillars and the stones and the rocks and stuff, and it's very hard to see those stones and pillars in the middle of a fight. It's going to be very common for you to see double frost, or even frost curse, with the curse being usually a cursed skull or even a great curse to purge the nature heals, sometimes even a shadow collar in the clap comps. Usually the curses will roll Q2 because that's a skill that's not going to be line of sighted either, as well as Pierce and Dark Matter. Both Dark Matter and Pierce get great value here in 10v10s. Depends on the rest of your combo, whether you're doing tempo or clap, which will use the Pierce instead. And you'll see a crossbow sometimes if you're playing front to back tempo, but that's not very common of a comp right now across the 10 states. Besides the frost itself, I mean, you'll see a fire sometimes, just for the utility of firewall. It's a very dive meta right now, so firewall is one of those ways that you can slow down and mitigate. As you can see there, it was able to stop a couple of the melees from coming in. Next up, we have our support tree in row. Ignimatic is a really big king here as far as the support rows go. That E with the AoE shields is massive, especially when the team that often wins is going to be the one that's going to be able to synchronize their combos and just have that heavy momentum going forward. Outside of the Ignimatic, which is able to be interrupted, you're seeing some one-handed arcanes. Those one-handed arcanes are, using their Purge E AoE to slow down and mitigate a lot of the damage and buffs that the melees have, as well as, sometimes you'll see a Blight or a Healer or a Clothy blink in to apply more damage. You just throw your E to silence them and keep them slowed down as far as mitigating their buffs go. Outside of that, I'm just really hoping that SBI buffs the Evensong again to at least increase the number of targets applied. After the nerf to Evensong, you saw a huge uptick of folks playing melee dive, right? Because there's no hard way to counter them. Next up, we have our healer combos. The one solid rule that you ought to follow when it comes to the healer roles for your 10v10s is just making sure that you have a backline healer as well as a frontline healer. You can play around with the different roles and combos here. It's obviously still going to be nature plus holy, because not only is the generous heal on holy just extremely useful in situations where you need that fat heal, but also in the nature for that AoE continuous heal over time. Blight is extremely good because it's not really, you can't really interrupt it, right? Compared to your wild. The Fallen is, and unfortunately, like, it's a longer cooldown and whatnot, but you're able to throw it forward, and it has to cleanse as well. And lastly, you're gonna see obviously a lot of hammers for your tank row, just given the pierces, the utility slows that you have in your W, as well as the interrupt on your geysers. It's not uncommon to see multiple hammer tanks on a single 10v10 comp, especially in dive comps, or even clap comps with your Hand of Justice, plus a pole hammer, plus a great hammer. It's just a lot of utility in terms of the AoE stuns, right? If you're able to literally shut down half of the opposing team for 3 to 4 seconds at a time, that's a lot of momentum that you're swinging in your direction, right? As far as allowing for your Clothies and your Bridal Furies to close the gap and just slap their back line or even their front line, right? Especially when in the front or first engage is usually the most telling in terms of who's going to be able to win the match. A lot of 10v10 fights are often just one engages instead of long fights. Well, that's going to be it for the meta snapshot. A couple of other announcements. I appreciate everyone continuing to provide comments, asking questions. I know a couple of you guys have whispered me or talked to me in games, and you appreciate the videos, and I appreciate you guys. I do this for fun. Obviously, it's nothing I plan on monetizing or anything. With the official launch of mobile coming up for Albion Online, I'm actually going to be starting a video series in terms of how to get started on mobile, and we'll cover different topics on different episodes in terms of economy, PvP, how to fame farm. I'm going to be doing it podcast style, where we bring in a guest, a friend of mine that will cover the topic of each episode, because obviously I'm not the expert in any of these situations, right? I can only apply it from the mobile perspective in terms of challenges that you guys may have as far as being phone gamers and whatnot. So with that being said, be on the lookout for that. It should be coming out pretty soon, within a week or two. And I hope everyone's safe and well. And, I'll see you guys in the game. Thanks.